Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker. Today we have on two very special guests. One, Paddy Outback of YouTube fame, and also the Border Ryker, also of YouTube fame. And today is an actual special episode of Apes and Engines. We're going to be discussing motorcycling / riding with MS. Now, there's a good reason that this came up, is I'm a fan of the two guys' channels. And honestly, it's something that I didn't even realize myself was so prevalent until obviously I think it was you first said it to me, Paddy, and then I looked into it a bit more and it's like, oh, this is something that's huge. And honestly, and this is embarrassing, I never made the connection in my head with the MS readathon, which I used to do every year when I was a child. So, that, and genuinely I didn't until then. So, you've educated me already, the two of you. But also this particular podcast is to draw attention to a little bit of something that Paddy is doing at the moment, which is absolutely hilarious. So why don't you introduce your channel first, Paddy, and tell us a little bit about your fundraiser?
Jesus, this thing. All right, well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Paddy Outback, and I am an Irishman who lives in North Queensland in Australia. I run a little motorcycling related YouTube channel, and as Gorilla said in his intro, I also have MS. As for my little charity fundraiser, well, a couple of weeks ago, I made a bit of a prediction on the outcome of the US election, which turned out to be a little bit inaccurate. And I may have said in the heat of the whole thing that if Donald Trump lost the election, I would ride down the beachfront here in Townsville, Queensland, where I live, in a ball gown. So when Biden went ahead, obviously I was called out in that one left, right, and center, as you can imagine. So I've decided to turn the whole thing into a charity fundraiser to raise funds for MS Queensland, obviously an organisation that supports people who have MS here in the state of Queensland in Australia. And they also conduct research and all that into treatments and what have you. And so I'll be doing that on New Year's Eve, and the whole thing has gotten bigger than Ben-Hur now, and I'm being interviewed by the papers here tomorrow about it and everything. And I'll be doing the thing in full drag.
I think it's brilliant. And number one, I think it's brilliant that you're sticking to it. I think it's brilliant you've turned it into something that is as positive as it is. And also while it is for MS Queensland, like, there's a lot of people back in Ireland talking about it now. You can even see it on Facebook every time you put up a post. I think it's absolutely, number one, it's hilarious. I can't wait to see this. But number two, it's really, really, really impressive.
Yeah. Well, and what was that, mate?
That's an awesome idea.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's good if you want to see a 6'4" bloke in a dress.
Every day, actually, yeah. I'm going to be saving some pictures, Paddy. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Almighty. I'm unfriending you off Facebook.
Fair enough. But I'll just take newspaper snippings like all the crazy murder people in those shows you watch. And you, George, aka the Border Ryker, would you also like to introduce your channel, please?
Okay, my name's George. I have a little channel called the Border Ryker, as you've just been told. And I also have MS. The biker ride, the Ryker, it's a three-wheeler, made by the same people who make Spiders, made by Can-Am, and two wheels at the front, one wheel at the back. And I'd given up on riding. I'd been riding bikes for decades, but I'd given up for a little over 12, 13 years. And the Ryker brought that back. And it's been the most amazing thing. And it's introduced this whole new world of YouTube and everything. I think we'll probably get into that later more. And I did a charity thing for MS several years ago. I did a 24 archery shoot, and that was for the MS Society Scotland. And doing that sort of stuff is so much fun, and that's why I think Paddy's idea is fantastic. It's just brilliant.
Not only from an entertainment purpose for us, his friends, so we can laugh at him forever, but also, you've already raised quite a bit of money, Paddy, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I'm up on about $1,700 now, in like just over a week, and which is a nice chunk of change, I guess, for one person to raise without particularly trying, shall we say?
Yeah.
So hopefully, that'll go up a bit now once it gets into the papers, and so it's, you know, the whole thing's being officially backed by my work now and everything, so it's just crazy.
No, it's very impressive. It's very impressive. And make sure, George, if you ever if you ever do another any form of fundraiser, let us know and we'll get you back on here to give you what feeble promotion I can give you.
I'm sure I can come up with something that'll embarrass myself.
I don't know, George, just so you know, I have set the bar pretty high when it comes to that. So you're really going to have to. You're really going to have to do something ridiculous, mate.
We're talking like Olympic pole vault height. That's how high Paddy's went there.
yeah, exactly.
And speaking of Paddy, back to Paddy, would you want to take us through your biking history and why you have chosen to ride motorcycles?
Why I have chosen to ride motorcycles is weirdly, getting diagnosed with MS is one of the things that actually prompted me to learn, because I always kind of, you know, oh God, I'd like to learn to ride a motorcycle someday, but I just never really bothered, if you know what I mean. It's like, you know, but then I got diagnosed with MS when I was 31, and but you know, it sort of was like, all right, well, there's a few things I probably need to get done now in case this thing gets too bad, and riding a motorcycle was one of those things. As for me history, I actually started out on a 50cc two-stroke scooter. Nice. I bought that just to get around. I was living in Alice Springs in the Northern Territory at the time, and I bought that just to go flying around Alice Springs. So I had that for a few months, but then I was like, all right, I'm going to get a proper bike. So then I bought a Kawasaki Eliminator 250 Cruiser, and I learned to ride on that, and I had that for a while. And then I traded that up to a Yamaha R3, which was a great little bike, actually, the R3. It's a brilliant little machine. And I went flying around various parts of Central Australia on that, which was, you know, great. And I think when I had the R3, though, I was doing some pretty big rides in it, and that is kind of what got me thinking that I probably need something a bit more adventure touring-y. So about 2 years ago, I bought a V-Strom 650, which is what I currently ride.
Which is a lovely bike.
I think it is a lovely bike, and I think, you know, anyone watching who does watch my channel probably knows me for riding the V-Strom.
To be honest, I do think you riding an R3 is more interesting than a V-Strom, though. You must have looked like a praying mantis on top of that thing.
Yes, exactly what I looked like. Yeah, because as I mentioned earlier, like yourself, Gorilla, I'm quite a tall chap, and it's quite a little bike. But weirdly, I actually fitted on it quite well. It's actually quite a comfortable bike. Because I was quite surprised when I test rode it that I was like, I actually do fit on this. So yeah, it's actually you know, the seating position isn't actually that aggressive on it, so I fitted on it pretty well.
Yeah, I suppose they're aimed for starters, so they're kind of more pliable.
Exactly. Like,
sorry, go on. Continue.
I was just saying, like, it'd be a big difference between, say, an R3 and an R6.
Oh yeah, well, R6s are they're not comfortable. I'd love one, but I'd break myself.
Yeah, they're absolutely brutal.
Yeah, they are. They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
George, I think we've spoken about your bike history slightly before, and I think you have some interesting bits in there. So why don't you take us through your biking history and also why you chose to ride motorcycles?
I started a very long time ago when I was 17 on a 50cc 2-stroke Yamaha DT. The crappiest little dirt bike you've ever seen in your life.
They're class.
But it was great. I rode it everywhere. I rode the damn wheels off it. And I loved it. And then about maybe a year later, I got an XL125, Honda XL125. I fell in love with that bike. It was white with red detailing. It was a friend of mine, Nigel. It was his bike. And so I bought it off him for, I think it was about 50 quid. And I thought I could do anything at that point. First day out, I was heading from a little town called Duns up to another one called Grant's House. And there's a really windy stretch, winds up this hill. And at the very crest of the hill, it pulls a right-hander with an adverse camber. And so I'd been used to a 50 up until now. So hits this corner somewhere approaching 55, and which was way too fast. And I saw the fence and I looked at the fence, and that was my first mistake because it was like target fixation kind of thing.
Mm.
And so the bike hits the front of the fence on the wire. So it basically halts the bike instantly and not me. The back end of the bike flipped up and I went flying off into the field and went sliding down. The field was on a big hill. I went sliding down the grass. Didn't hurt myself at all. A few bits were bent on the bike. But that was my first spill. And it was around that time I actually fell in love with bikes because
you got slingshotted off one.
Yeah, it was the first sort of adrenaline shot of motorcycles kind of thing. The whole excitement of going up the hill and then realizing I got it so badly wrong, but got away with it.
Yeah.
And so I traded up from that. I got a Yamaha RD250 LC. It had been the Yamaha Works bike, well, one of them, for racing in the 250 class. And it had been in an accident at, there's a raceway near Dunbar, East Fortune, which wasn't far from where I lived. And it got fairly bent and beat up. And so I picked it up for 250 quid and did it up. And that was the most exciting bike I've ever owned. The RD250 and 350s had big reputations for smoking out much bigger bikes. It was rumored that the 350 could outdo like 750s at the time, which was insane.
Mm.
And so I called this bike Christine because by the time I'd finished with her, she looked aggressive, and the throttle was one of the most aggressive I've ever come across. She had a stage one.
What type of Christines did you know?
It was Christine from the Stephen King horror novel.
Oh, you did tell me this. Yes,
yes.
That makes sense now.
the possessed car. Well, this was my possessed bike, and she was just insane. And I've never been able to get it out of my blood since.
Mm.
It's just been... There's been times when I haven't had a bike, but there's always been another one on the horizon. And I thought that was all over until the Ryker happened. And like I say, I've had loads of bike in between that. I had a GPZ 305, which was so pedestrian, it was ridiculous.
Well, especially coming off an RD.
a Kawasaki Z250, which was horrific. Oh, I don't even remember that one's name. It was so bad. I don't know if I actually named it. I probably called it Satan. And I had an MZ 660 Bagheera and an MZ 660 Scorpion. And then I got the Ryker.
And that Ryker's, I really like the Ryker. I think it's pretty.
She's mental. It's the most quirky, slightly unpredictable bikes. It's fantastic. It does everything you ask so easily, but it's got two really fierce power bands in it. The first is 0 to 30, and then from 60 up to 80.
You wouldn't be going 80 on your roads, would you?
Oh, no, I did that on closed roads in Argentina.
Of course, or Mexico. The Mexicans are okay with it too, I hear.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, the video I just released today actually is in Mexico. So there you go.
I saw the thumbnail. Actually, yeah,
it's in
I
Mexico.
haven't watched the video. But I saw the thumbnail and I was thinking that should help the Gardaí with their inquiries.
It's in Mexico and it wasn't even me riding the bike. It says it in the description.
It's funny that, like, you know, anytime I'm speeding, I just go to Paraguay.
Yeah. That was Mexican gorilla, similar to Mexican steak. But I want to ask you around, you know, what challenges have you found riding with the mess, and what extra risks do you have to take into account? Because I know Paddy, we talked about it before. I think you described it as brain fuzz once to me. That's why you were off the bike for a week or two or something. But you know, obviously something like that, and people like me wouldn't know that, and it's something that's very interesting, but not in a like, oh, that's cool way. It's stuff that people should know, really.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the main kind of serious symptom I've had with my MS so far is the fact that every now and again my eyes go haywire. And because I get a condition called optic neuritis, which is basically my optic nerve has a conniption, is about the best way I could describe it. And that obviously affects my eyesight, and obviously means that riding a motorcycle becomes not exactly a good idea during those times, you know. Look, it always recovers. So, you know, just, you know, anytime it happens now, I just go into hospital, get pumped full of steroids and what have you, and come out a few days later and I'm usually grand again.
And built like the Hulk.
And like after all those steroids, I could probably bench press a micro as well, like, you know. But
hopefully straight off a cliff, just pushing.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Like Paddy smash. But otherwise, I think the main other thing that I get is just I get really extreme fatigue. So, you know, just constantly knackered, which means that even sometimes on a day off, I'd be like, right, I'm going to ride the bike, and then I just pass out asleep on the couch and stuff like that, you know. And the brain does get a bit foggy and stuff like that, and that, you know, you find it difficult to concentrate and focus on things sometimes. And, you know, on those days, I'm like, probably best I avoid the bike. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm relatively unaffected by the illness. I have a bit of weakness in my left arm and stuff like that as well, but it's nothing really major, and that I'm lucky with regard to the whole thing so far, because an awful lot of people have it an awful lot worse than me when it comes to the MS. So I'm in many ways getting away with it.
Yeah, and it's the left arm thing is interesting, because I was talking to someone only yesterday who had a pretty serious accident, and like they cannot really use their left arm anymore and their left hand, and it's something that I hadn't really thought of. And it's the same with the Ryker in regards to George. Like, I'd never thought of it until, you know, George said it in his videos. He was saying, oh, you know, I've been off bikes for years, I just can't use the clutch and I don't like DCT, don't trust it, but I love electric bikes. And he was talking about going getting a Zero SRS next year, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense, because if that's his only failing, you know, with the clutch, and I completely understand not trusting DCT. I don't know what I like it myself, but the electric bikes are nailed on. So yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why that reminded me of it, but it did. And also, back to yourself, George. What you know, you mentioned you were off bikes for a long time, due to MS, and the Ryker saved that. So take us through that a bit.
Yeah. Well, I was diagnosed about 14 and a half years ago. 14 and a bit years ago, anyway. And you could basically cut and paste what Paddy just said. It started with an optic neuritis. I actually lost the sight in my left eye, but it came back. It took them 3 years to diagnose it, because doctors. And I've had weakness in the left-hand side. I had a bout of just a minute, we'll have brain fog.
No problem.
This is brain fog, when you just can't think of something that you know. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It is, and it's horrible. Vertigo, that was it.
Yes.
And that was horrible.
Yeah, I've gotten that before as well.
Yeah.
Bloody rotten.
I ended up projectile vomiting. It was
nice.
Yeah, it feels like you have the worst hangover you've ever had in your life without the fun getting drunk bit beforehand.
Yeah.
and you're on a boat.
Yeah.
Oh God, that does not sound good. And
so the eye thing happened first, and then there was the weakness. So I thought, oh, getting a bit dodgy for riding bikes, I should really call it a day now. And then, well, I kind of lasted about 10 years. And I was like, well, maybe I could just get a small dirt bike.
Yeah.
A 125 maybe. Which slowly ramped up to a 500. And then I saw the advert for the Ryker, and I was like, that's what I need. There's no clutch. There's no trying to hold that up if my leg's weak. I'll put a sat nav on it in case I get brain fog and can't find my way home. And that's literally all I use the sat nav for, is when I get lost. But I get lost on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are times, like Paddy says, when you get brain fog and when you get fatigue. I mean, for me as well, those have been the two worst symptoms. For example, I've been out on the bike twice in the last 2 months, which makes it difficult to hold up to a YouTube schedule. But it's like Paddy says, you wake up, you think, I'll go out on the bike today. Then you're asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no warning. There's no, you'll need to sit down in a minute. You might get tired.
Yeah.
It's like
you're literally in the middle of doing something and you're like, okay, I need to go lie down on the couch like now. It just happens. And, so when you are, planning on, and I do some fairly long rides and stuff, given the part of the world I live in and stuff, everything is very far away from everything else. And as such, that can be a bit of a pain in the arse sometimes when that does happen. So, kind of has an effect on where you go and what you do, definitely.
Yeah.
And would that lead you, Paddy, when you're on those longer rides to not go on your own, just in case you do get stuck somewhere? Because I imagine that's not the type of tiredness you can just push through, because I imagine some people will think that.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's
You're just
like
down.
it's like, yeah, all right, I need to lie down now. So I do generally prefer to go, if I'm going on a longer ride, it's better to go with people, absolutely, or else I plan it in such a way that if I am doing a longish ride, I'm going somewhere where, say, I'm never far from a hotel, if you know what I mean, in case I need to just go and, yeah, all right, I just need to go and book into a hotel and sleep it off.
Yeah.
Or else, yeah, so like I'd never go on a long ride the day before I'm due back to work, for example, just in case, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's a few kind of little things I do just to, you know, make sure I'm not going to feck myself over, so to speak.
That's fair. That's fair.
Survival strategies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I always bring a bag of cocaine with me just in case.
I mean, you know, you heard it here. You heard it here. The best treatment is cocaine. The old Medellin cartel will be delighted with you.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So and I appreciate you taking me through that. By the way, the two of you. But why YouTube? Is it something that, you know, like you said, Paddy, that you said, okay, look, I need to do this now because of this, or is it just something that came along as part of that you went, I can make videos of me on my bike?
Yeah, yeah. With me, it was just a case of when I was getting kind of learning to ride motorcycles and stuff like that. That's when I discovered all the, you know, the motorcycle stuff on YouTube and everything. And I honestly just figured out, what the hell, I'll have a go at this. And that's kind of it. Like, you know, I just kind of did it for the crack, if you know what I mean. Like, and as such, yeah, I'm legitimately surprised that the whole thing's gotten as far as it's gotten for me, because, like, you know, I'm 14, like I'm pushing up on 1,500 subs now, and
1.43.
Yeah, and in thanks, Gorilla, because I didn't even know myself. But you know, and it was just honestly something I did for the crack, like, you know, honestly only expecting that a few mates or family members would ever watch it. So you know, anything beyond that has been a nice bonus, really. But honestly, I just was watching other motorcycle content creators and went, yeah, I'll have a go at that, and here absolutely. I am now.
It's definitely a gift of us Irish people that we can talk shite for hours, no problem.
Oh, we can. It comes. Yes, we absolutely can. Yes.
Whereas George can just speak sense for hours. It's terrible affliction we have, really.
I don't know about that. I think it's a Celtic thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably is, yeah.
One of my videos, I know just about enough about history to get lots of stuff really badly wrong.
Yep, that's I do that too.
Oh, me too. Also me, yeah.
No, go on.
I was just about to say, every video I make, and when I rewatch it afterwards, I'm like, oh, well, that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong, and yeah.
Yeah, I get numbers confused a lot. So, you know, it might be like 1968, and I'll be like, in 1698. It's like, no, those are not the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And what about you, George? Why did you start doing YouTube?
It kind of started as a dare.
Interesting.
I'd been binge watching anything I could find about Rykers because I become completely obsessed with them. It started with just watching the sort of official press releases, and then I started watching the first of the motorcycle content creators who were buying Rykers to start to do theirs, and there was one of them who's become a really good friend of mine. His name's Mark, and has a channel. He's taking a break at the moment because work, really, and he now makes decals for Rykers as well, because that started as a sideline for him, and now it's kind of got in the way of the YouTube channel for him. But anyway,
right, okay.
there's one of my slight strange tangents. But yes, we'd been talking on through comments and stuff about Rikers and stuff. And then I got mine and he said, oh, you'll have to put up a video so I can see it. So I was like, well, I don't know. Well, okay. So I did a silent walk around kind of thing because I was too scared to talk.
I understand that.
And so he said, yeah, but you'll have to talk too. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. Oh, but, just make a video. They're great. Just, show us where you live, show us your bike, talk about it. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I got addicted instantly.
Yeah.
It is very addictive.
Everything about it. From editing, from filming it, from the stupid mistakes that I make that make me laugh.
Yeah.
I don't take myself nearly as seriously as I did beforehand because I realize how ridiculous I actually am. And yeah, it just became this wonderful thing. And I've made so many friends.
Yeah.
Definitely.
In the 3-wheel world, in the 2-wheel world, in the YouTube world and everything. And it's turned into such a blessing.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying to people is the amount of friends I have now. I can land myself in pretty much any country in the world, and there's someone there who I've met through the channel that I'll be like, yeah, do you want to go for a spin? Which is mental.
Yeah, and it's the same for me. Absolutely, I left Ireland 11 years ago and knew nobody who rode motorcycles, for example, and now I could go to any part of Ireland pretty much, and there'd be someone there who I know through YouTube who, I could go for a ride with. It's the same in Australia, the UK, the US, and it's a pretty mad thing,
Yeah, and there's a bike there for you whenever you do visit.
Yeah, exactly. And at least I know I'll fit in it, Gorilla.
I have a number you'll fit on. You can take the Super Magna or the CBF. The GSX-R is going to be a tight squeeze for me when I get it going.
I would imagine so. And
it'll be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have been known to cram myself into uncomfortable situations if I enjoy them in the long run, if that makes sense, in the past. So I will do it because I love that bike.
Have you bought the GSX-R flip flops yet?
I'm ready. I have a very interesting it runs again reveal video planned. I have nice Hawaiian shorts, a good sleeveless t-shirt, and some Adidas blue flip flops.
Ah, perfect. Yes, the proper GSX-R look. Yes,
and of course a helmet because I believe in safety, like all GSX-R riders.
Of course, yes, gloves.
Perfect.
Yeah, helmet and gloves to go with my wife's beater.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is, do you have any goals for your channel in particular, or is it just fun and a hobby?
For me, it's fun and a hobby, and I don't really have goals with it. I'm as I said before, the whole thing's already gotten a heap bigger than I ever thought it would. And I'm just kind of, I find that if you worry about the numbers and how many subs you have and all that, it just starts to do your head in, and I really could do without that sort of stress in my life.
Definitely.
So as such, I'm just I just take it as it comes, and whenever I can get out and make a half decent video, I'll do that, and that's it. I'm not really I'm not really looking to make a living out of this, if you know what I mean. And so I'm just happy to just make a video when I can, and like I said, I enjoy doing it. It's fun. I enjoy the editing, and after that, I'm not really fussed. It's just something I like to do.
Yeah, it's a hobby,
Absolutely, yeah.
And the way I describe it to people is the two of you know this. I'm a bit obsessed with motorbikes. Just a
smidge.
Yeah, just a smidge. And like the YouTube thing is just it's an addition. It's an addition to that hobby. It just makes it better, fleshes it out more. And I think that's the way it is for a lot of motovloggers.
Yes,
and what about you, George? Any goals or aspirations for your channel?
Well, like both of you, it is really a hobby. It's something I've thought about a lot. I would love it to blow up and turn into this huge thing, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's all cool.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is being part of this community and being able to show people the areas that I like, the things that I like. And one of my early things that I thought was, it'd be good for my granddaughter, who's like not 2 yet, and for her to know what Grandad was like when he was still a bit of an Egypt. Before he sort of like traded in everything and got comfortable in front of the TV on a Saturday afternoon, watching the sport.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I just, and through it, I've become more interested in what's around me.
Definitely.
I always took it a little bit for granted.
Mm.
And until I went off to Germany for several years and missed it so badly, and I came back and there was this new appreciation, and then MS happened, and it slows you down to a point where you do notice things more.
Mm.
And little things mean more to you. And the big stuff that everyone else worries about, well, that's for them to worry about now. And it's kind of all grown from there. And if I can make people laugh, cheer someone up on a crappy day or something, just by showing them what's around me and by talking my usual shite, then that's all good for me.
Yeah, and like it's actually funny you said about the seeing more around you. That I used to just like riding my bike, and I'd have my few select spots, and I'd go to those places, and there was a nice road there, and then obviously when you're making videos, you can't just keep going to the same spot, or they'd be pretty boring. Yeah. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to visit here, and I genuinely, and it's something actually, the toaster, it's why she I think pushed herself to get on the back of the bike, because she wants to go to these places with me. And I was like, that's all right. I want to get a bigger bike anyway. So it's a win-win situation. But to go completely off the wall topic, and I already explained to you why about the kitten that was found by the side of the road earlier and whatnot. Are you dog, cat, or cat people, or both?
I'm very much dog person. When I grew up, we had cats, but my dad didn't like them, so they lived in the outbuildings.
Yeah.
And because we were in the country, so they were always outdoor cats. There were one or two that have been very special to me. But I was raised with dogs. I was raised in amongst a litter of 13.
Oh, jeez.
Which German Shepherds.
Very nice.
Jesus.
And I've never known a time without dogs.
Just have cat. That's just like having cattle around you as a child, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, they taught me to walk.
I'm not surprised.
Seriously, I'm like one of those weird sort of like feral boys. I just held onto the dog and just pulled myself up.
Yeah.
And she'd just walk me around the house. Sorry.
Yes, all right. So a firm dog person from George. What are you, Paddy?
Well, as you can see there,
Rollei.
I would.
Yes.
Yes. That is the legendary mongrel terrier that is Rollei. So I'm definitely a dog person. I used to actually be terrified of dogs because I got mauled when I was a kid. There was this guy God, I was probably only about 7. I was still living. It was before my family even moved to Clare. I was still living in Naas. And there was this guy who had like a lot of black Labradors who he used to let just wander around the housing estate we lived in. And sure, they shredded the claws off of me one day, and I wasn't too gone on dogs, as you can imagine after that. But when I came to Australia, a friend of mine has this big Aegis of a golden retriever. And I was, and I was just like, oh, actually, dogs are cool. And I ended up getting one myself, and I've had this little man for the past 7.5 years.
He's just gas.
He's a funny little man. Definitely, he's a character. So definitely a firm dog person here.
Yeah, and I am also firmly a dog person, but I do like cats. I have nothing against them. And this kitten,
I like cats too. Yeah,
they took to sleeping on my foot earlier, so I like it now. I called it Splat. Because that's what would have happened to it if it had been left where it was.
Okay, yes, that's a pretty good name. Yeah,
I thought so. Origin story and all that. You have to put
exactly.
It back so here's another question for the two of you. One place that you absolutely have to ride before you give up riding in totality, and it can be anywhere in the world. So who wants to go first?
For me, and I know exactly the rod. I need to ride the N59 in Galway and Mayo.
Great choice.
Yeah, because I did my nursing training in Castlebar, and if I had a bit of time to kill or whatever when I was going between Castlebar and Ennis, I would often just drive the long way home by Westport and Leenane and Clifton and down into Galway and back to Ennis. And it is one of the truly great roads in Ireland.
It is.
Probably the world, actually. It's an absolute belter of a road, especially when you start getting up towards Connemara, up towards Clifton and what have you. Absolute beast of a road. And I'm dying to have a crack at it in a motorbike.
How would you like to do it on a CBF?
I'll take it.
It'll do, like.
As soon as... it'll do. Jesus Christ Almighty! I'd do it in Anton, like, you know.
You can take the Super Magna, so I'll be the one in the comfortable bike. I wouldn't be the sort who'd look a gift horse in the mouth there, Gorilla. So fair enough.
But definitely the N59. It's just one of my favorite roads in the world, and
it's a stunning road.
Yeah.
And stunning scenery up there.
Yeah, I think it's the best road in Ireland, if you ask me.
It's up there. I do like, and it's something I have to do on the bike. I was planning on doing it this year, but Achill from all the way out to Keam.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I love it up
Chef's
there.
kiss.
Obviously, and having lived in Mayo for quite a long time, actually. When I was doing my training and stuff, I know all the roads up there pretty well, and there's a lot of very good ones in that part of the road, the world.
Absolutely. Same as West Cork and Kerry. To be honest, the whole west side of Ireland is just Donegal down. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, except for Limerick.
That's a fair point. That's a fair. Yeah, you make a fair. We'll just exclude Limerick, and the rest is beautiful.
Yeah. If you're from Limerick and you're watching this, sorry.
I mean, not really. They have one big main road that goes all the way around what even is the city anymore there? That's about it. I'm sorry. I lived in Limerick for 4 years. I'm allowed to say this.
I know. And I spent most of my life in Ennis. So obviously hanging shit in Limerick is just part of it. Like,
You have to do it. Yeah. You have to do it. What about you, George?
Oh, far too many to mention.
You have to pick one. Yeah.
One that's probably possible would be the North Coast 500 round the top of Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never been that far north, and I would just absolutely love to. Or any road in Ireland, actually, because I've never got the chance to visit Ireland ever.
They have these things called ferries. I believe they accept Rikers.
It may have to happen one day.
Oh, do it, man.
Do it. You will not regret it. There's so many nice roads over here. Especially just like as soon as you get away from Dublin, so many nice roads.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the last few videos that I've watched of yours, the high cross at Moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a road up to there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole 4 episode series with Kaz, like those roads, and they wouldn't be the usual type of roads I'd pick because they're not. There's a lot of national roads there, and I usually avoid them. But they were all absolutely beautiful. That was just a great day out.
Yeah, it's my dad is actually from Castle Dermot, so I was which is near Moon, and I was having a little trip down memory lane watching that video, all those places I was when I was a kid. Yeah,
and because Kaz is actually your dad.
Well, yeah, except I think I'm older than him.
No one's older than Kaz. The man is ageless and ancient.
I think Kaz was 60 when he was born.
Yeah, about that, and just born with all of the knowledge of the Irish history in his head.
Exactly. Yes.
that must have been disconcerting for the nurses. Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know how he remembers all that stuff.
It's incredible. Granted, I have had a lot of head injuries in my life, and people ask me things, and I'm like, I haven't a clue what you're talking about. That was yesterday, Mike. Yeah, still don't remember, but he is an encyclopedia. It's incredible.
Yeah. He's a knowledgeable man.
He is a knowledgeable man. Yeah, well, dare say one would call him wise.
I don't know if I'd call him wise after seeing his inability to operate a sat-nav correctly, but I'd certainly go knowledgeable.
We'll stick with knowledgeable, so we don't give him too much props. Yeah. So for you, Paddy, it's a very rideable road when you pop back over in CBF, and for you, George, the NC 500, which I need to do it at some point. It's not even far away. It's not even far away from me, so I need to do it.
I know.
It has to be done. So one thing, George, that I wanted to ask you in particular was, have you, since changing over to a Ryker, have you experienced any major stigma from other motorcycle riders? Because, and it's funny, it's something that I have actually come across is, people do look down on 3-wheeled machines at some points, and even before, obviously, I met yourself and stuff. I always thought, no, it's to me, it's a great way. If someone isn't comfortable in 2 wheels, because it's a little bit more challenging, you have the whole balancing thing. So whatever might affect them that way. I mean, my own dad, I'd love to see my own dad get onto some form of 3-wheeled machine, because he doesn't want to learn to ride a bike. He is nervous of them. But, I think there is no better way to experience the road than being out on some form of motorcycle-like creation. Exactly. But anyway, have you experienced stigma, first and foremost?
To be honest, no. And the worst thing I've come across is the odd Harley rider that doesn't wave back.
Oh, that's to everyone.
I think that's part of the course, really.
And GS riders now.
And everyone I've met, about 2 months after I first got the Ryker, I went out on the Steve Hislop Memorial Rally, and there was 300 bikes there, and it just fitted in, and everyone was really cool, and people would come up and they'd go, ask about it. What is it? That's a really striking machine. And so I'd tell them about it, because I think the one thing that Ryker has is it doesn't look like most trikes. Most trikes look like a Harley that has had the back end chopped off and a Reliant Robin back axle on, which is what most of them are.
That's true. That's
pretty much, yeah.
And I mean, even the little old lady that lives next door, she loves it. I was putting running boards on it, and she comes up and she goes, "Oh, that's a fair grand thing you've got there." I'm like, yes, it is, thanks. And I think for her, it's not very threatening, because the front end looks like a Caterham. Looks a bit like a Caterham sports car, so it's not got the aggressive stance of some motorcycles, but at the same time, it can be quite an aggressive looking machine. But I think she was focused on the fact that there's two wheels there.
Yeah, I actually really like the look of the Ryker. I think they're, like you said, they're a striking machine. They're well designed.
And I think a lot of people who don't like trikes actually can quite like the Ryker. Because, well, even we don't call them trikes.
Yeah.
We call them three-wheeled motorcycles.
Yep. Well, it is different though, isn't it? The two wheels on the front and the big back wheel, they're very driftable. I've seen people drift them, and look, that's just cool. I've never seen anyone drift a Harley trike. And correct me if I'm wrong, if that exists, and I'm sure it does, because people drift everything, including shopping trolleys. But the Rikers they look like they're made for it, because you have all that front end control and grip, and that one back wheel just spinning up it looks badass. The
best one for drift is the Rally. I've got the 900 Ace, which is the next best.
Yeah.
So with the Rally, when you put it in Rally mode, most of the traction control is toned right out. There is a little bit, so you don't go too stupid, but most of it's gone.
Turn it all off.
With the 900, it doesn't dial down quite so much. Plus, you've got the vehicle stability system to deal with. So you can't do high-speed drifts.
That's fair enough.
But a roundabout in the rain, oh, hell, you can go full-on like speedway racer type drift. and you can hold it just on the throttle. It's amazing.
And it'll still be fun, because I have drifted bikes in the past, and it was never except once when I was an idiot, but it was almost never on purpose. And the worst one ever was actually, it was the day I also dropped the phaser into the garden. I think I've talked about that in videos before, but I went into town to get stuff for Christmas presents, and on the way back out, it was really, really cold, and it started to rain a bit, and there's a really sharp turn back down in Cork onto the main road, and I took it, and then I powered on because it was in a rush, and when you're rushing, you're from Russia, but also you're going faster, and I mean the whole bike, the back stepped out. Now luckily I used to do that on purpose on dirt bikes, so I kind of knew what I was doing. I am not saying I saved this on purpose, because I didn't. It was mostly luck, but I went across two entrance lanes. It's just lucky there was no cars there, so that wasn't fun, but I imagine doing that in a Ryker would be fun.
Yeah, you don't even need to put your foot down.
That is good.
You can actually just sit nice and planted and just do the reverse steer and open her up.
Yeah, not worry about instantly dying.
Yeah. Anytime I've ever drifted a motorcycle, it has been entirely unintentional and usually resulted in some poo coming out.
Just like sitting by the side of the road afterwards, doing the old rocking back and forth. Yeah, necessary.
You just have to pull over for a few minutes and curl up in the fetal position and suck your thumb and just wait for the horror to pass. Oh dear God!
So,
actually,
but it is. Go on.
Yeah, the last time I drifted a bike was when I was the last video I put up over in Magnetic Island here. Yeah. I drifted it on some sand and had to put the feet down, and that was close.
That was a great video, by the way. I really
good video.
I must get that app you had. That's like that. Yeah. Even though it was only like 10, 15 seconds, it just added so much to it that it had. The route. It was so cool.
The Relive app, it kind of just adds a bit of a, I think it's kind of nice that you can show the ground you're covering and stuff like that in such a cool looking way, which is good. So
it's a nice touch.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
You should become an ambassador for Relive, because I'm definitely going to buy it out of it, and I imagine other people are too.
There you go, Relive. If anyone from Relive is watching this, give me money.
Yeah, give the man some money. Come on.
Exactly.
So I
accept PayPal.
Everyone accepts PayPal because the government can't see it. I didn't say that out loud. I've asked a lot of questions so far. So do you have any questions for me before we go towards the end of this podcast?
I don't. Jesus, no, it's not often I'm lost for words, but there you go.
I always get people at this one when I just ask for any questions. Every time.
It's like when you're at a job interview and at the end they're like, is there anything you'd like to ask? And you're like, shite.
I hate that. Like, it's the worst thing in interviews. Like, is there anything you'd like to ask? It's like, I don't know, employ me, please. Like, what else would I be asking?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, when do I get paid?
Yeah. It's like, when is the first paycheck? Actually, when you clearly give me this job, please please give me the job.
It's like with me, and they're like, why should they hire you? And I'm like, you probably shouldn't. I'm probably going to take loads of smoke breaks and use every drop of sick leave that I'm entitled to. But
dead right.
Yeah,
it's one thing I would love to do, whether it be through YouTube channels or some brainwave I'm still waiting to have to invent something is get away from working from corporate overlords, because it's great, they pay well and it's a brilliant stable job and it's actually pretty interesting, but it'd be great to just be working out of a shed, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Although to be fair, I'm lucky that I actually really like my job. So
that is good. I don't dislike my job, but I'm definitely, there is nothing more fulfilling than when I go down and do something in the shed. Like there's the job satisfaction I got out of redoing those carbs and the jigsaw is 100,000 times anything I've ever gotten in work.
Oh yeah, and like, even I know the feeling though, because like obviously I'm nowhere near as good with a socket set as you are, but even the few bits and pieces I've done with my bike, like I'm just like, afterwards you're like, yes,
the milk crate.
Yes, my milk crate.
Oh yes, brilliant. I've got an issue with that video.
What?
But around that time, there was the alternative camera angle on the selfie stick.
Yeah.
I decided to give that a go.
All right.
What happened?
Until when I was getting off and I nearly kicked my camera into a field.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like it's just the joys of motovlogging. Like you occasionally find yourself with a camera in a very weird place, and as mentioned before with the MS, if you're prone to the odd brain fart, as people with MS often are, you immediately forget it's there, and then Mr. GoPro meets Mr. Size 13. And
so, are you telling me, George, that you have somewhere saved you roundhouse kicking your GoPro?
Yes, I believe I have somewhere.
Yeah, that needs to go on YouTube.
Yeah, I think we need to see that. I want to see this spinning back heel kick to the GoPro.
I shall see what I can do.
You should edit it with like noises from an old Jackie Chan movie or something like that. Just to really give it that.
Because out on a ride, I came across a squirrel fighting a weasel. Seriously, it's in one of my videos. You'll find it. I think it's the one on the thumbnail. It says something about warning scenes of gratuitous violence.
Oh, I must check that out.
I need to find this.
And what I really want to do, and I downloaded the sound effects and the whole things like the graphics with POW and sort of things. And I had it all ready to rock and roll, and I thought, will that? And I thought, no, I don't know if I will. But I think I should have. In hindsight, I think I should have.
You did, yeah. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get you to link it to me, because actually I've looking at it. I've watched most of your videos and I haven't seen that one. I don't think so. Anyway, do you have any questions for me, George? Paddy says no. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
And it's been asked once a long time ago in the comments, and you said look back to earlier videos to find out. And I started, but then I got so into watching the current videos. I kept forgetting to go back. Why is toaster called toaster?
Ah, yes. See, it's funny, like the amount of people I've told, even linked them the exact video, and they're always like, really? That's it? And I was like, genuinely, that's where it came from. So we were in the shed that I had that I was renting the section of down in Cork, and it was myself, Toaster, and another buddy of mine who we call the Mexican, because we're pretty certain he goes on fake tan beds all of the time. And also he's good at Spanish, so it was always going to happen. And just before we started recording, Toaster had said, "Oh, I don't want my face to be in the video," which is fair enough. And also she said, "I don't want my name used." And I was like, fair enough. And then just as we started recording, I was actually in the video. John, the Mexican, goes, "Yeah, sure. He said, she isn't a male or female. She doesn't want to identify as either. So we'll call her a toaster. So she's Toaster. That's about it." And I was like, "John, you just said she like 5 times." He didn't get it. He did. Poor chap. He's taken even more hits to the head than I have, apparently. None of them recorded.
Maybe the old suntan bed has fried his brain a little.
It's possible. That said, he has a far better complexion than me. I look like I'm half dead all the time, so I can't say much.
Yeah.
If I could take his skin tone, I would.
Could be worse. Like, I have the most savage tan lines in the known universe. So, the joys of living somewhere sunny when you're Irish.
No, you don't understand. So you see this part of my arm?
Yeah.
That is pasty white.
Yeah.
That's tanned. That's really quite tanned.
Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that for a fucking tan line.
Yeah, that's full like pastel white. Yeah, fair enough. You're as bad as I am. Yeah. You're as bad as I am.
And I'm actually dark for an Irishman.
Yeah, sallow is what they call it here. Yeah, which is light. Yeah, there's none of us sallow. We're pasty.
Yeah, exactly. There's just different shades of white.
Yeah, that's it. So look, really appreciate you coming on and talking about that. I know I've been trying to get you for months. For the people at home, I've been bothering these two fellas for quite a long time about this. Also, if you do have a bit of spare cash and you want to support the cause, I'll leave the link for Paddy's fundraiser in the description. Also, while we're plugging these things, I'm currently running literally physically running 100k this month in November for Movember, which is to support a multitude of men's health things. I'm currently 85 out of 100k done. And I had thank you. I hadn't run in months before this month, so this hasn't been pleasant. But I'm nearly there. And then I'll probably just like die of a heart attack straight afterwards. Body goes into rejection. But anyway, so those are those two things. Other than that, I'm also going to leave links for George and Paddy's channels in the description. Please do go give them a look. Both are very entertaining. I do watch them both myself, so I can personally recommend them. Other than that, is there anyone you want to shout out, lads?
Oh, Jesus, I'm on the spot now and I can't think of anyone.
I do like putting people on the spot.
Yeah, geez, this is like a job interview, seriously.
Yeah, I'm an asshole.
Yeah. It's like, and what will you bring to the organisation, Paddy?
Misery and cynicism.
I'm keen to learn.
Yeah.
That's why he has jobs. You see, he's had jobs in the past.
Oh my God. Oh God, look, I can't even think about that. Jesus, if I think of anyone, I'll message you afterwards and you can put them in the description. Fake.
Fair enough. George?
Just my ever suffering family that I've kicked out of the living room for the night. They're all hiding upstairs.
Well, I will also thank them for vacating the room so that we could make this happen. I do appreciate it.
I mean, the studio, of course.
Of course, it's studio. Yeah, well, like,
Yes.
you can see my and Toaster's gear is hanging on the door behind me, so I've also a very professional studio here. I won't show you over there because it's filthy.
My studio is conveniently located below the air conditioner.
Nice. Good.
Yes.
Good choice of location.
Yes.
So if there is nothing else that you two would like to shout out, and if you do think of anyone you'd like to shout out, Paddy, do send them on. I will, of course, put them in the description.
Beautiful.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, really appreciate you coming on. If anyone would like to know more, I will link in MS Ireland. The one you said, MS Queensland. If there's any other websites you think I should link for people to learn more.
Scotland.
Yep, I will also link that. Just send me on the links. I'll put anything that you think is worthwhile being in there. So do please check them out.
Awesome.
Excellent.
And yeah, until next time, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Adios.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Who wants to do the outro crew question? Someone has to.
I'm silent.
Someone has
All right.
to. Oh, he's going for it.
All right. Outro crew. Who would win? Sorry, which would win in a fight? A squirrel or a weasel?
As good a question as any we're going to get. Thanks, Astro. Bye.